Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Today is March 28th, 2025. I'm Ozarks first meteorologist Tom Schmidt, and we've got some storms on the way for this weekend. We're tracking two rounds. We've got one Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's an overnight event into sunrise time Sunday morning. And then there'll be a secondary storm coming through with a cold front as we go into Sunday afternoon. Now, the first storm Sunday morning will impact what happens with the second storm later in the day on your Sunday. We'll cover it all coming up for you. But for the time being, let's go ahead and take a look at the drought, okay? Drought continues to deteriorate across the portions of the plains and the Midwest. Zooming in now towards the Ozarks, we can see that, we're starting to see some severe drought conditions build on in. Down to the southwest from Monette, down to Cassville, down to Neosho in Anderson County, again down to Bentonville, Arkansas, and parts of northeast Oklahoma, seeing that worst part of the drought start to come together for you now. We're dry, folks. We're a good 2 inches behind our normal monthly rainfall for March. So we need some moisture in here, and we've got plenty of moisture on the way as we go into the final days of March, again this weekend, and then also the first couple of days of April. And it looks like an active pattern will continue into the middle of the month of April. So more rain on the way, right? When it rains, it pours. Okay, so in the next 7 days, this will take us through this weekend, and then also looking at another cluster of rain chances for the middle of next week, April 2nd, April 3rd, that time frame. So you put all that together in the next 7 days, it looks like we could see an inch to 2 inches across parts of the Ozarks, and then more rainfall farther eastward into Kentucky, Tennessee, parts of Alabama, and Mississippi as well. All right, so what we're seeing right now, we're seeing some rain showers and clouds move up out of the south. And not a lot of rain, but there is some moisture with this. Skies becoming cloudy as the day goes on. A little windy today as well. As we look at up farther north, you can actually see some snow showers going through southern Canada near the Great Lakes. Now, later this week, really this weekend, when we're dealing with severe weather, that same storm is going to be causing an ice storm across the northern United States from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and parts of upstate New York, seeing a pretty significant icing event for them this weekend and next week. Farther down to the south, we can see our little shower maker, if you will, across Texas. They call this a little shortwave piece of energy. So it's not a big system in the jet stream. It's just a real tiny blip on the jet stream, and it is creating some rain showers across Texas and Oklahoma, and that energy is going to lift northeast as we go into today. So here in the Ozarks, hit or miss rain showers, cloudy skies, and that system will linger through Saturday morning before that moves out of the area. As we zoom out farther westward, looking at the Pacific Ocean, we can see, not much out here, it's kind of hard to see, but another short wave, our next storm, is going to develop about right there where that red circle is. That's going to be our weekend storm, giving us those storm chances in 2 rounds. Again, first round on Saturday night, next round coming in on your Sunday. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. For today, showers continue down to the south in the areas shaded in green, mid-70s otherwise. Still kind of light rain showers here and there across the south overnight tonight. Upper 50s and low 60s after that. Look at this, divided down your Saturday. Rain showers continue off and on to the east of Highway 65, looking at Rolla, to Fort Wood, Mountain Grove, West Plains, down towards Mountain Home, Arkansas, Ash Flat, Arkansas, some hit-or-miss rain showers there. Meanwhile, to the west, western Missouri and eastern Kansas, temperatures rising thanks to some sun creeping out later in the day Saturday, and we'll get to about 80 degrees Saturday here in Springfield with a very spring-like feel. Tomorrow night, the chance of round 1 storms develops in Kansas and crosses the state line into Missouri after midnight into sunrise on your Sunday. That'll be round 1. Some of those storms, yes, will be strong to severe. Right now, the highest risk is going to be in eastern Kansas, and I think we'll see more of a linear mode with the wind pattern on this. And so your tornado risk is going to be fairly low, if anything at all, with these storms. But there will be certainly some hail and wind to contend with storms coming out of Kansas into western Missouri late Saturday night into your Sunday morning. Again, your round 1 storm hazards looks to be mostly hail. I think the biggest hail will be found in Kansas. Could see golf balls there, and that may linger into parts of western Missouri with some winds also 60 to maybe 70 miles an hour in the west as well, with storms that get going on your Saturday night into your Sunday morning. Not everybody's going to see the big storm. That'll be in pockets, so don't think that it's going to happen to you, but you want to be ready just in case, because there will be a couple storms that are capable of producing that stronger storm weather Saturday night, Sunday morning. Now, here's kind of the catch on this, all right, the kicker, if you will. Saturday night, Sunday morning storms, round one, will leave behind a boundary in the Ozarks. That will have an impact on what we see Sunday afternoon, okay? So Sunday, right now, I'm going with a pretty broad general chance for area-wide across the Ozarks of seeing strong to severe thunderstorms. I think the best chance for severe weather, though, will mostly be along and east of Highway 65. Now, once you get farther westward, though, you could still be dealing with some rain and thunderstorms, especially Sunday morning, but I think the afternoon risk will be isolated more farther towards the east. But again, it all kind of depends on where this boundary lays or where it's lying out there on Sunday afternoon, where those storms will reignite again in the afternoon. So that's something we're having to watch carefully. Your storm risk on your Sunday, here you go. Highest off to the east, again, looking like most of Arkansas. For the most part, excluding northwest Arkansas, kind of in the highest bullseye for some storms. And again, that cold front pushing through Sunday afternoon, that'll be a trigger mechanism, if you will, to get storms going later in the day Sunday. Highest risk on Sunday to the east, and that will be more of a tangential wind flow. So you'll have kind of the front, like we saw on the map there, you'll have the cold front oriented kind of north to south, and you'll have your wind at its back, pointed kind of like this, right, coming more at a perpendicular angle. And so that'll kind of help increase that tornado risk when you got winds that look like that, oriented that way. So your tornado risk is going to be a little higher for you, especially in the eastern Ozarks on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Hail still looks to be pretty large. Golf ball, possibly larger than that. There's a lot of instability. Your Cape values are pretty high, meaning you can get some pretty strong updrafts. And, of course, it's late March, so the upper air, your freezing level, is still on the lower side in the atmosphere. So hail sizes could be quite large with Sunday afternoon storms. And winds, again, looks like about 60 to 70 miles an hour. The Sunday event looks to be more like a supercellular event. So we're looking at more supercells versus a linear kind of line of storms. Looks like we'll see individual storms try to get going with that energy there to see some stronger updrafts. And so that being the case, you can see a stronger storm certainly develop across the area. So that's kind of what we're looking at. The difference between Saturday and Sunday is that Saturday is looking to be more like a linear, maybe a cluster, possibly an MCS event on Saturday night, Sunday morning, more of a cluster of storms. What we're looking at on Sunday, however, is more of a discrete thunderstorm activity. One storm here, one storm there, developing along that cold front. And those storms will also have the wind energy to get some, and the instability to get some pretty strong updrafts mixed in them. So we're looking at more of a supercell event potential on your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for the eastern Ozarks. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the maps, the weather models. Brace yourselves here. We're going to start with this big ice storm, okay? So this is the European model. This is the icing event potential across the Great Lakes, parts of northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, and upstate New York. This is going to be a big ice storm for them. A lot of the data leaning towards at least half an inch of ice across the north. This is the European model. We can switch it over to the national blend of models. And there's your snow totals, also looking at some snowfall accumulation. Looking at the ice interpretation from the national blend of models, you can see it's a little lower. Okay, this is valid Sunday night, around midnight, going into Monday morning. You can see they're predicting anywhere from a quarter inch to a half inch, and again, some data suggesting, yeah, they could see up to an inch of ice near the Great Lakes. All right, so let's go and jump into what we're seeing now on the models in the convective allowing models. We'll try this one, the HER. That's always a popular one. And the latest run, it's coming out. Awesome. I don't think it's loaded all the way. It has. Okay, so we're good to go. We'll jump into some of the severe weather parameters that they have for us here. I like to look at the updraft helicity tracks. We'll start this one back at the beginning. And, oh boy, there we go. This will be going into your Friday night, Saturday morning now. and it doesn't quite load all the way. So we'll jump back and go to the previous model run. There's the 6Z, perfect. This would have been earlier, but it should show up with some updraft helicity. There you go. This is for that first round of storms, and what I'm looking at is right there. There you go, that area. That's updraft helicity. All that is updrafts rotating, updrafts, and the updraft rotation strength of these storms that get going for Saturday night. And so you could see some stronger updrafts in Kansas. I know instability is going to be a little higher. This is for Saturday night, Sunday morning, round 1. Instability will be a little bit higher in Kansas, and your convective inhibition, your SIN values, your capping strength will be a little lower in Kansas as well. Missouri, your instability is not going to be quite as high as those storms come out of Kansas into Missouri. And you're also going to be dealing with some capping. There'll be some higher levels of SIN, around minus 150 to minus 200 at some latest model data. We can actually take a look at that, I believe, on here. Let's take a look at Cape first. No, let me get out of this. There we go. Let's take a look at the Cape. That's your instability levels. You can see, yeah, they're a little higher in eastern Kansas. There you go. So versus Missouri. So there's your boundary, your cold front, where your storms are going to initially fire up and develop Saturday night. This is valid Saturday 8 p.m. And so they'll initially develop in Kansas for Saturday night in a more unstable environment. You can see, though, over here in Missouri, yeah, instability is a little lower. You got Cape values a couple hundred to maybe up to 1,000 joules per kilogram, which is on the lower side, but certainly enough to sustain some of the larger storms. And as the evening goes on, as we get into the overnight, wind energy picks up a little bit with low-level jet, but the instability is still fairly on the lower side for us as the storms make their way out of Kansas into Missouri. So, and again, there is kind of a capping element in there as well. You look at your shear values. It's a little messy, I know, but your shear a little higher there in Kansas, but once you get into Missouri, yeah, becomes more of a linear wind event for us. So shear on the lower side, not looking at a tornado risk as those storms there start to cross into Missouri Saturday night. Okay, now here's the tricky thing. Trying to give you a visual of what's going to happen on Sunday. A lot of these high-resolution models, that was the HRR model, the high-resolution rapid refresh model. That one is really good for looking at severe weather and those events. Let's take a look at the WRF. I think the WRF might go out a little farther. Select the run. No, still 48. I thought it went out 60. No, 48. So this one, oh, there. And so this model is also high-resolution model data, but again, these higher-resolution models typically only go out 48 hours or so. So let's go ahead and take a look at the NAM model, North American model, okay? Then we'll wrap things up here. We'll take a look at Sunday's event now. We'll go ahead and click forward for you pretty quick. Saturday night, Sunday morning, there you go. This is just temperatures. You can see Saturday, I think it'll be 80 degrees on Saturday, by the way, in western Missouri. That'll help destabilize the air a bit. There you go. The NAM as an earlier time of arrival for storms on Sunday, okay? So this model, I'm not really leaning towards it, but you know what? Maybe the other model data may follow through with that one as well. The NAM also has some severe weather options for us. So you can see here, I'm looking at Cape again, your instability levels. Okay, here's what we're watching right there. There's southwestern Missouri and northern Arkansas. You can see your cold front, too, back here where there's no instability. The color line just kind of drops off. You're behind the front there. This is valid at Sunday morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So this is still round 1 storms moving out of Kansas into Missouri. Here's the tricky part, okay? This is where it gets tricky. Now we're looking at Sunday, 10 a.m., Sunday, 11 o'clock, Sunday at noon, Sunday, 1 p.m. There's going to be a sharp cutoff, okay? That boundary, it all just depends on how far eastward storms Sunday morning make it through the Ozarks, okay? Wherever they stop, wherever that boundary stops, will be the starting point for storms in the afternoon and evening on Sunday. So the North American Mesoscale model, the NAM model, if you will, indicates that that boundary will basically be lining up near the interstate, near I-44. All right, kind of a southwest to northeast orientation. That line, again, wherever that boundary may end up, will be a focus point, and it'll be a divide for incredibly high instability to no instability at all. Okay, so that'll be your starting point for storms developing there. So when you look at these Cape values here in southern Missouri down to the southeast and northern Arkansas, you got Cape values of 1,500 to that number there saying 2,500 just about, and that's pretty high. That's some high instability for you. And if we take a look at maybe some of the helicity tracks on the NAM at this time, you can also see that, well, let's do 6 hour. I don't think it's on here. All right, we'll forget that. So looking at the helicity tracks from Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then into Sunday afternoon, NAM shows that's still Sunday left over. So let's take a look at the timing now then. The NAM, see, I'm not really a fan of the NAM's model on this one. I think it holds it back, and I think it also doesn't show much of anything happening. Yeah, the NAM is actually overall pretty quiet for you. But I think there will be a few storms that develop probably around this time. This would be 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, about right there. So we're just about 2 or 3 hours delayed on this North American mesoscale model to be able to really see a visual output of what the model's thinking. But I think 3 p.m., 4 p.m., we'll start to see some storms fire up in that zone right there in the red. And again, there will be some rotational elements to that. Oh, let's see if we can take a look at the current environment. Supercell composite, that's always a fun one to look at with the NAM. This shows basically supercell strength. You can see there with the instability being high as it is. Once a storm does get going, let me circle that again. Right here's where we're watching. Once a storm does get going, the supercell composite, which I believe goes up to 15, I believe it's 15 or 16, something like that. We're sitting at a 9, 10, 11, and 12. So pretty significant storms that will get going in the afternoon on Sunday. And again, it's not going to be a huge widespread thing Sunday. It'll be just maybe half a dozen storms along that entire instability axis. And it also has a tornado parameter on here. We can take a look at that to tell you the kind of environment these storms will be starting in. Again, we're looking at individual storms for Sunday afternoon. And so again, this model, the North American Mesoscale, showing the tornado parameter quite high. I'd put it in the mid-levels of the range, but it's a higher risk of maybe 1 or 2 of these storms producing a tornado. 25% of all supercells produce tornadoes. And so we're looking at a supercell thunderstorm type setup for us for your Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. And they're moving into a more favorable rotation environment, a strong updraft environment, high instability environment. And again, if you live in western Missouri, northwestern Missouri, you're probably not going to have to worry about this. But if you live east of Highway 65, if you live down in northern Arkansas, don't clock out this weekend. You want to pay attention. So there's some of the model data we've been looking at to help determine these things. And again, we're waiting for that next model run to come out. Okay, so the HER, I believe right now, is actually in the process of running its next run for us. That's a 12Z model. It's only going out 18 hours though for us, so it's loading right now. But we'll post some updates of the day. It's good data to have. We're getting closer to the event this weekend. 2 rounds, Saturday night, and then again Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon. With the first round of storms Sunday morning will impact what we see Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon is a storm we're watching, though, for the higher risk between the two. And then it looks like more rain, more storms coming for the middle of next week. Be weather aware this weekend. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Stay weather aware.